Step 2. Room layout and trap placement. As we begin this video, we're looking at the canvas on the wall, and we're looking at the bottom portion of it. That's the grassy field. You can see the tree line out there and then some of the clouds above that. And the yellow thing that you see in the middle of there is basically a tape measure that I've attached to the wall so that the numbers on the tape measure are significant. At the very bottom edge of the canvas, it's about 46 inches, and the horizon itself is about 60.5 inches. And remember, back in the introduction I mentioned that our shooter, although 5 foot 5 inches tall, had an eye height of 60.5 inches, and therefore that's why the canvas is on the wall at that height. Now let's go ahead and go over to the V4 computer screen here. And let's go ahead now and do what we need to do to kind of get started, which is we want to make sure that we've got a layout in here that we'll be able to use in a minute. So I'm going to come to File, click on Layout, and then in the folder that opens up, you'll find Trap American Fixed. Just double click on it. And then the next thing that we want is we want to put over on the left hand side of the screen here what's called a sidebar. If you'll just go ahead and tap the F8, the function 8 key, you now have the sidebar. If you tap it again, you don't have the sidebar. I want it on there. I'm going to leave it there. Now let me explain the upper portion of this. This portion up here describes your room layout. And we have already told DryFire in the earlier video clip that we had 60 inches of wall to the right of the center of the room. And this is the back wall, the symbol of the back wall. And so therefore we've said there's 60 inches to the left and 60 inches to the right, which is our 10-foot wide wall. Now, we then can click on this little green thing, which is the DryFire symbol for the DryFire unit itself, and it tells us that the simulator, we told it, is 50 inches away from the wall. It doesn't tell us the height here. Then down here, this is the shooting location, and there's only one at this moment, but if I click on that, it shows that the stand is 0 inches to the left or right of center, but it's 108 inches away from the wall. Now, whether you're a V3 customer who's converting over to V4 or whether you're a new V4 customer, we always want our trap shooters to move around the room to get the reality of that. So if you'll come down and click on Configure Room Mode, that'll take you to the Configure Room dialog box. And I want us to go over here to the down arrowhead and click on it. And I want you to just select the center one, which is Move Around the Room Prioritized Anchor Alignment. And this is the only one as a trap shooter you'll ever be using, but always this one. So click on it. All right, then the next thing you need to do is you need to basically tell DryFire the horizon height on your canvas, or in other words, you're telling DryFire the eye height of the shooter. It currently says 65. I'm going to change that to 60.5 inches, and then I'm going to come over and say recalculate, and I am on the 16-yard line. And the final thing I must do is click on Edit Distance. And if your Edit Distance window does not say 108 like mine does, change it to 108. And then after you've gone to this location and changed it to 108, click on OK. Always leave this panel by clicking OK. Don't leave it by cancel. And then the next thing that we're going to do is now what DryFire is telling us with this number up here is it's telling us that the origin point of the trap target is 49.156 inches above the floor. Now remember, I had that measuring tape on the wall. So now I can know exactly where 49.1 inches is. And in order to get DryFire to point to that, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on Fine-Tune Head Position. And I'm going to change the camera angle now so that I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to zoom in down here on the bottom so that you can actually see the numbers. And so I want these two lasers from the left head and the right head to be on that tape at 49.5. Now looking back here at the panel that's come up, anytime the lasers turn off, you can turn them back on by clicking the show laser. But before we do that, I want you to look up here and see that you've got all the information you need. It says here that the height should be 49.16 inches, and it says position-wise, left and right, it should be 0 inches to the right of the simulator, which also means 0 inches to the left of the simulator. Okay, now I'm going to click on the show lasers, and you're going to see some lasers on the wall, and they're fairly close. I'm going to actually deselect one of them just a little bit here, and so that you can see I can actually move it around. This is head number 1 for me, the left one. So now I'm going to move it to the right to get it on the tape. And once I get it on the tape, then the job is to get it at the right height. So it's hard for me to see right at the moment. Looks like I'm a little bit high. So I'm going to bring that down. And I think there, if I move it just a tad to the right, okay, I'm about there. Now I'm going to bring the right-hand head down. And so now I have both of those heads, as you can see, set at 49.5 inches, and that's pretty accurate. All right, now next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to move this camera on up to 60.5 inches, because next I'm going to find a second point and adjust it to 60.5 inches. Now I'm going to do that here on the computer screen by hitting OK. And then I guess I actually should have hit cancel, so now I'm just going to go back there again by going to hit fine. All I wanted to do was click on this advance button, which takes me to another place. And this is an area up here where you can have all kinds of places that you have marks on the wall that represent locations that you can tune all over the wall. I'm only going to tune a second one for right now, and in another video I will have one that shows how we can have these tuned marks all over the wall so that dry fire, all of the trajectories are more accurate within the area that we're working. All right, now probably in your case right now up here it says 65 inches or something other than 60.5. So let me just show you. All we have to do is here I'll change that to 65, thinking that that's probably what yours was, and I'll click save. Now you see mine says 65, but I really wanted it at 60.5 inches, so I highlight it again, go back down and put in 60.5 and say save. Okay, now on the camera you should be able to see that we've got a couple of spots that are up there, and they're fairly close. But again, I want to just kind of show you that these things are movable. They went off, and anytime they go off, you can click the show laser button and turn them back on. I'm going to now take the left-hand head, and I'm just forcing it to go to the left. Can you see it going on out there to the left? I'll take the other one, and now I'm bringing it back to the tape. So here we are. There I am, and I really wanted it right at the horizon, which is right there. And the number 2 head needs to go a little bit to the left. And again, like I say, you can only get so accurate on these things, realizing that we're talking, about straining gnats. If we're, they don't have to be exactly the same. But I wanted to show you the principle of how we would do that. So now basically what we've done at this point is we have an ability now to, for instance, if I were to go over here to, if I went, I'm kind of stumbling a little bit here. If I go back here, now I have to move the camera. I'm going to back up the camera is what I'm going to do, so that you can see that basically you won't be able to read the numbers, but you'll be able to see that when I tell it that I want to see the origin point, it's going to be down on the bottom. So here we are, we're looking at the origin point. Can you see that they're down there? And then if I want to look at the other point that I put in here, I'm now showing the lasers up there. So both the left and the right hand head are hitting the same spot. And so that is basically all we have to do for our positioning. All right, now when I clicked OK that time, now it's important to come back here and we need to talk about this room layout. The room layout now has a little triangle back here in the back because we are in move around the room mode. And that is trying to tell you back here that basically the trap house is 0 inches to the left and 0 inches to the right. And it's somewhere around 50 inches above the origin point, which we set for 49.5. It's been rounded off to 50 inches. But that's not really the top of the trap house. That's the origin inside the trap house. Now, we'll demonstrate that in a moment and show you how to get the trap house on the wall. But now let's go down and look at these stations, because this is now how you're going to determine where to put your stations in your room. When I click on station 3 here, it says that it's 0 inches to the left and right. It's 108 inches away from the wall. If I click on station 4, it says that station 4 is 21 inches to the right and 106 inches away from the wall, so it's 2 inches closer to the wall. Finally, station 5 out here is 42 inches to the right of station 3, or the right of the center of the trap, and it is 99 inches from the wall. Now let's go over and look on the other side. On station number 2, notice it says it's 20 inches to the left of center and 106 inches. And then station number 1 up here is 41 inches and 99 inches away from the wall. Now, if things on the left are not exactly the same thing as on the right, these numbers are accurate. It takes into account all of the geometry of the heads and so on and so forth. So simply find those locations, and that's where you'd be shooting from. Now, one other thing while I'm here. If you would have told Dryfire that you had a wider wall back here, say for instance you told it had a 14-foot wall back here, and then you told it you wanted it to be 108 inches away from the wall, you're going to find out that station 2, station 4 and station 5 are going to be in a different physical location if you told it had a wider wall. And the reason for that is it's always going to try and get the shooters as far away from each other as possible, but it realizes if you say that you've got a wall over here, it can't put a person on the wall or the right-hand side of the wall. So just to start out with, if I were you, I'd go with 108 inches and a 10-foot canvas. If you really have a 14-foot canvas, then you would have put in, instead of 50 inches to the right, you would have put in 84 inches to the right, because that's 7 feet, and you would have put another 7 feet over here, and then it would have created these locations slightly differently. Okay. So that takes care of all of that. Now, the final thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and I want to go up here one more time, and I want to make sure that the ATA trap settings are proper. And so you saw how I got to there. If these are not proper, then just click on default and say yes. Okay, now what I'm going to do to start out with is I'm going to take and select a station 5 right-hand target. I'm going to go ahead and click on the start button here, and then I'm going to release a target with my little handheld releaser, pull. And now we saw probably a target fly on the wall. Let's do that again, pull. You can see that, but it's not focused in very well. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more on that so that you can see where it's coming from. Here we go. Okay, pull. All right, there. Pull. So can you see that the target is off onto the right of your screen, and it's about 53 inches high. Now, the simplest way at this point to get all this to come together is you've done everything you need to do. Everything is calibrated and ready to go. Now you can just simply come up here and take your trap house, and you can put it here so that half of the trap is to the left of your mark, half is to the right. You can release a target, pull, and right there the target started exactly at the top of the trap house at about 53 inches above. And then I will go ahead and shift this over to station 1 left, hit the start button again, and call pull, and now you see the target starting there. Now let me just kind of back this up a little bit so that you can see the overall operation. I can see in my picture here that I've got the trap house a little bit kittywampus. That probably helps. Pull. And now you can see I've got a hard left going out there on station number 1. Pull. And now I'll do one more time. I'll come back and do a station 5 right so that you can see where it's going. Pull. And the final thing that you could do here, and then I don't know what more to do, and that would be I'm going to go back to setup, come down to ATA trap settings. I'm going to put in 0 degrees at this point. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to come up and I'm going to select a station 3 either left or right. It won't make any difference. I'm going to hit the start button and call pull. And can you see that the straightaway on station 3 is now going right up my tape measure. So I've got my trap house in the right spot. Okay, well, I hope that helps you out. I know it's a little bit longer running than I thought it would be, but I certainly hope that you feel like you've gotten the information. So at this point, we're going to call it we're going to bring it to the end, and I would suggest you follow on then with the next step, step 3. Thank you.